Coming up on today's episode of Airborne-Unlimited. Army cuts thousands of aviation positions to make room for drones. Secretary Duffy hits 2025 ATC hiring target. USAF's first next-gen fighter enters manufacturing process. Welcome to Airborne Unlimited. I'm your host, Holland Lee. Let's get into today's stories. Army cuts thousands of aviation positions to make room for drones. The U.S. Army recently confirmed its plans to thin out its active duty aviation ranks, cutting 6,500 positions as it phases in unmanned systems. The changes are slated to begin in the coming months and continue through fiscal year 2027. Army spokesman Major Montrell Russell said, quote, "The Army is transforming aviation to meet future operational demands, faster, leaner, and more capable. This initiative ensures Army aviation is integrated across components, modernized in capability, and optimized for global mission requirements," end quote. Currently, about 30,000 soldiers serve in aviation roles ranging from pilots to support crews. By the time the cuts are finished, roughly 1 in 5 of those positions will be gone. To sort out who stays and who goes, the Army is convening talent panels beginning in October. These boards will review junior warrant officers, lieutenants, and captains assigned to Apache and Black Hawk units, deciding whether they will remain in aviation or be reclassified into other branches by leveraging officer evaluations, input from aviation leaders, and progressing toward achieving pilot-in-command status. Panels will be chaired by a brigadier general, with senior warrant officers and a former brigade commander rounding out the process. The Army hasn't ruled out holding similar reviews for enlisted aviation troops, though officials insist that they are attempting to retain, quote, "as many qualified personnel as possible." After the break, Purdue Boilermakers continue to make space history.
Meet the first of a new generation of the M-Class family. The M700 Fury. An aircraft worthy of the name, an indomitable force. The M700 Fury transcends traditional limits. With more power, blistering performance, a finely appointed interior, and the luxury of what matters most. Time. Experience the Fury. Join the legacy.
The legendary BD-4C program is building an exciting future for those who want a rugged 4-seat family flyer with a proven history. The SureWings program produces a complete kit and builder assist program that gives you everything you need to be flying a BD-4CS in record time. For conventional kit builders, BD Aviation has parts, partial kits, and full kits for the 190-mile-per-hour BD-4C that has logged thousands of hours. Visit SureWings.com and BDAviation.com for more detail.
Welcome back. Now let's take a trip around the patch for some shorter stories. Purdue Boilermakers continue to make space history. An all-Boilermaker team comprising a university engineering professor, a graduate student, and other alumni will be making its way to space on the Purdue 1 Virgin Galactic mission in 2027. This further establishes Purdue's aerospace prestige, with its alumni playing a role in every era of human spaceflight. The crew is expected to include aerospace engineering professor Stephen Collicott, graduate student Abigail Mitzi, and alumnus Jason Williamson, along with 2 other alumni yet to be announced. Army names 4 Special Ops soldiers killed in Black Hawk crash. The U.S. Army has identified the victims of the September 17th Black Hawk helicopter crash as Chief Warrant Officers Andrew Coley and Andrew Krause, and Sergeants Donovan Scott and Jadalyn Good. The 4 were part of the 160th Special Ops Aviation Regiment, known as the Night Stalkers. Coley was commissioned as an aviation officer in 2013 before being deployed in support of Operation Atlantic Resolve and Operation Swift Response. Krause joined the Army in 2017 and supported multiple training and contingency operations. GE Aerospace completes solid-fuel ramjet flights. GE Aerospace announced the successful supersonic carry flight tests of its Atmospheric Test of Launched Air-Breathing System, or ATLAS, flight test vehicle, signifying a major advancement of its solid-fuel ramjet propulsion tech. The system was carried aboard a Starfighter's F-104 aircraft, which was successfully flown at supersonic speeds 3 times at Kennedy Space Center in Florida. By mounting the Ramjet on an aircraft, engineers can measure aerodynamic loads, vibration, and heating that cannot be duplicated in a wind tunnel. FAA introduces ultra-high airspace over Florida. The FAA introduced a new ultra-high airspace in the spring of 2025 covering northern Florida and parts of the southeast. The move provides more available airspace through the Florida Panhandle and the Gulf. Prior to the new airspace, one controller managed all high-altitude flights in this area, which often led to congestion. This was particularly true during bad weather. The airspace has been divided into 3 ultra-high sectors, each worked by a separate controller at the Jacksonville Air Route Traffic Control Center. That's it for today's Trip Around the Patch. Let's get back to the rest of the news. Secretary Duffy hits 2025 ATC hiring target. Secretary of Transportation Sean Duffy announced that the FAA met and exceeded its goal for hiring air traffic controllers for fiscal year 2025 by bringing on 2,026 new controllers. The goal was 2,000 controllers, and the number of new hires is 20% more than the previous administration hired from January to September 2024. The rate of hiring under Duffy's turbocharged effort is tracking toward more than 2,200 new controllers in 2026 and at least 8,900 through 2028. Duffy said, quote, "Since taking over the department, I pledged to help place more of the best and brightest Americans into our towers. These latest numbers show our supercharged effort is continuing to hit milestones, and we are making progress on that promise. Our work is just getting started. This department will continue to use every tool at our disposal to chip away at decades of controller staffing declines because the American people are counting on us," end quote. Since February, when Secretary Duffy announced his plan to accelerate hiring, more than 10,000 applications have been submitted to the FAA, with 8,300 progressing to aptitude testing. The newly streamlined process has shortened the time to hire for open positions and shaved off more than 5 months from the old process. After these messages, USAF's first next-gen fighter enters manufacturing process.
I'm currently using the Hartsel Talon, by far the best aerobatic propeller ever come out.
I use the Trailblazer. It adds performance to the Super Decathlon and dependability, and it's rugged.
Hartsel's been an excellent partner for Whip Air, just in terms of your product support as well as keeping an eye on the market and developing new products that meet demand.
It's helping us all have better performing airplanes.
It's such a proud honor to fly behind that propeller.
Welcome back. USAF's first next-gen fighter enters manufacturing process. The U.S. Air Force is well on its way to flying its next-generation fighter, with the first of many F-47 jets reportedly in the early stages of manufacturing. The service is hoping to get the stealth fighter airborne sometime in 2028, a relatively ambitious target for a plane lacking a suitable engine. The Air Force was vague on what, quote, beginning to manufacture actually means, and while the F-47 only exists in prototype form from a shadowy testing campaign, they stress the service is ready to go fast. However, the absence of a working next-gen engine to go on the airframe suggests things may eventually slow down. The current plan is to fly with interim power plants, while the proper propulsion system, the next-generation adaptive propulsion program, remains in limbo until at least 2030. The F-47, described as a leap ahead in stealth, sensing, and communications, survived a pause under the Biden administration before being revived by Trump officials. It even got the rare distinction of being unveiled in the Oval Office. Despite the Air Force insisting that the aircraft could be declared operational years early, Pentagon budget documents suggest that development is supposed to run through at least fiscal 2030. The announcement of a 2028 first flight is the first time the service has set an actual date. And that's our show for today. You can catch episodes of Airborne on YouTube, Roku, or Fire TV. Just search for Aero-News or Airborne. And don't forget to follow us on social media. Thanks for watching.